You're a star. That's why you're a star.
Right, so yeah.
It's like started out French it's short half. That's what this is. Right on is all this stuff, which is nothing to do with the other stuff.
That's why they're wondering.
I love this.
Sure.
Okay. The Sandwich Town Council Human Resources Committee, 6th of January 2025. Apologies absence.
No apologies, Chair.
Number 2, declaration of interest. To receive any declaration of disclosable peculiar interest for members in respect of business to be transacted on the agenda. Okay. Minutes of the Human Resources Committee held on 30th of October 2024 and to be considered any matters arising from those minutes not covered as by this agenda. Okay,
Propose acceptance unless there's any queries.
any members second?
I have an issue,
Okay.
but it'd be dealt with under the confidential section, so I will be abstaining.
Anybody else, any other member want to? Second?
Can I just ask, how are the confidential minutes
What did they always the confidential?
distributed and stored and filed?
Yes, so they are distributed to the members of the committee.
Yep,
They are stored on SharePoint
yep.
and hard copies in my HR personnel filing cabinet that's secure as well.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments?
Yeah, just a couple of bits. So I've attended not as a member of the committee, so thank you for welcoming me. And thank you for giving me the sets of papers. I'm assuming, Chair, that you would like the sets of papers handed in at the end because I'm not a formal member of the committee,
Yes,
is that
please,
correct?
yes, if you have the confidential paperwork handed to the clerk, please. Any other comments on the previous meeting minutes?
Seconded.
Seconded, okay. Can we vote for? Vote.
I wasn't present.
Yeah,
so
two
I
Two
must say-
abstain. And wow, are you voting?
Paint your hand the right colour and hold
Yeah,
it up.
4.
Yeah.
Number 4, public participation. Do you have anybody have any public participation at this moment?
No request from the public, Chair.
Chair, point of order, please, if I may. I'd like to say something, please.
Can we put that?
It's regarding items on the agenda. It's regarding an issue that happened last HR meeting as well. I would like to speak, I have a right to speak.
Yes, no, can I leave that because it's to do with
No, I
confidential
want,
issue?
no, it's not, no confidentiality was mentioned at all, it's just purely on what the facts of what happened at last meeting and what's been going on lately. I have a right to speak as an elected member of this council.
If it's a point of order, the member has to state their point of order, and then you declare whether or not it is a point of order. Because you can only give a point of order, councillor Marie, if it's on procedural matters.
I requested, it is about procedural matters, I requested to the town clerk 2 days ago, Friday, asking for the question to speak and the public participation part.
And you can't.
And I was told, because I'm a councillor, I'm not authorised to speak.
That's right.
Anybody should be allowed to speak regarding, in the previous administration and the previous way the council was run, anybody, including councillors, were allowed to speak at the public participation part. And this is why, no offence, some of the councillors that are here today are in their seats is because of that exact same thing, because people were not allowed to speak regarding
We are not the
meetings.
previous,
Yes, we're the new administration,
I
yes.
understand. So
The
this-
trouble is, the way I feel is that this council is going into the ways of the old.
Yeah.
Regarding
I'm not stopping you from talking, just at this
confidentiality.
moment, hold on, let me, Councillor
So
Street,
2 points.
Yes.
As councillors, we're
I will
not
come back to you.
we are not allowed to, we're not entitled to talk under public participation.
Yeah, because you changed the standing orders.
So, sorry, I'm talking to the chair.
Yeah,
The second point is that we are allowed to speak as non-committee members, as long as it's related to the agenda in front of us. So if there's any agenda item that is present that we have a relevant and pertinent point to make, we are entitled to do so. And I am sure people around here, like myself, will be doing so at the right points.
Can I-
Councillor Marie has raised the point of order. So you've got to hear, but
I
if
was
it's
to make my,
procedural, if
I
it's
was
not
to make my
procedural,
speech
then
regarding last HR committee meeting and also about the way the confidentiality stuff in the council is being run. That's it.
that's, well,
Can you off camera?
So,
Point of order had to be on camera?
so basically, councillor Marie needs to state, is like the mayor said, he needs to state his point of order.
I've just stated the point of order. It's about procedures within the
As long as
council.
it's not confidential.
I promise you that no confidential items are in my speech. It's just purely facts and what's been going on.
Okay. Give me a moment.
Thank you. I have to, it's on my phone because I've been writing it while I've been at work today, so I do apologise, okay? Chair, fellow councillors and members of the public, I rise this evening to express my deep concern regarding the conduct of this council and to highlight the troubling erosion of transparency, accountability and democratic principles and breach of Sandwich Council Standing Orders 3.1.6 and 4.5.6, as at last HR meeting, myself and Councillor Morehouse were rejected by the committee when the vote was carried out to go into confidential items. This is only to exclude press and the public, not elected members. Until the recent takeover of this council by certain councillors and the appointment of staff aligned, it was standard practice consisted of both the law and democratic norms that all elected members of this council were provided with access to full documentation, including confidential items on the agenda. This transparency allowed the councillors to carry out their roles effectively to serve the community and scrutinise decision making. However, this established and lawful practice has been abandoned. I have been denied access until now, which I have the papers in front of me, which will be returned back to the chair or back to the town clerk afterwards. They won't leave the building room with me. To the full agenda of tonight's meeting, including confidential items. Let me be clear. This obstruction is not just a procedural misstep. It is a direct and lawful hindrance to my ability to fulfil my duties as an elected representative of the people of Sandwich, and it is a breach of my legal rights of information set out in section 100F, brackets 1 of the Local Government Act 1972, and a violation of the fundamental need-to-know principle that underpins local government accountability. This level of secrecy and obstruction is deeply concerning. The refusal to share information with elected members, those in charge of representing the public interest, raises serious question about what this council is seeking to hide. This culture of exclusion and lack of transparency is an affront of the principles of open and accountable local government. It undermines trust in the institution and weakens public confidence in our ability to act with integrity. I have notified our Member of Parliament about this troubling behaviour, and I was also informed the press and reported the breach of the law to the monitoring officer at Dover District Council and the local government ombudsman. This council should be under no illusion such conduct will not go unchallenged. The people of Sandwich deserve better. They deserve to the council that operates openness, honesty and respect for democratic norms, and not one that hides behind closed doors and seeks silent dissidence as of previous years. In conclusion, I call on this council to immediately restore the principles of transparency and respect for the rights of all elected members. Anything less is unacceptable. I stand here tonight just not for my own rights, but the rights of every councillor, as I know some agree with me. And more importantly, as the residents of Sandwich who elected us to serve and not shield ourselves from scrutiny. Make no mistake, this is not me making a breach of the peace or being disruptive. This is purely outlining the facts that this council is a democracy, not a dictatorship, and all councillors are legally entitled
Point of order,
access
no.
to relevant information to go about the duties as a councillor.
Chair, I wish to have a point of order. He was not addressing procedural matters, he was making
They are
personal
procedural matters.
opinions.
No, they are
Personal,
procedural.
the
They are
remainder of
procedural.
your
No,
speech was
I must
personal.
protest. They are
Personal opinion.
procedural. Things have been kept from me that should have been kept from me.
We're not
Every
allowed to
councillor-
discuss,
Every councillor is
we're
entitled
not
to see
allowed
all
to
information,
discuss a point of
all
order.
information. And I've made my point, I've said what I need to say.
We're not allowed to
It's on camera.
discuss.
That's why I wanted to, because I want everybody to see it, because I feel that this council has been very secretive regarding a few things, and I'm not,
Okay.
that I don't like that.
Chairman, my point of order, my point of order now, I'm allowed to have a point of order.
Yes,
We're
you
not
are.
allowed to discuss a point of order after it's done. I've got the rules and regulations from NAP here on points of order. Your point of order was not point of order. It had personal opinion in it. So it is not a point of order. My recommendation to the chair would be not to accept it.
That's fine, you don't have to accept it, but it will be.
You're not allowed to discuss a point of order.
Okay, Councillor Draper?
So I was just going to comment that I'm not aware of anything that's been held back from me as a councillor who's not a member of this committee. I have got the papers in front of me and I contend that that is sufficient for my purposes in this committee. In terms of the presentation by Councillor Marie, if he has got some facts as opposed to opinion, then they should be tabled correctly with the town clerk to respond to. To do it in an emotive manner in this meeting is not appropriate. And a lot of what I heard there was his personal opinion, because I personally don't feel that anything's been held back from me. If anybody else feels they have, then they should enter in and support Councillor Marina.
Councillor Ward?
I think we're in a bit of a muddle here because what's happened is that we've set up this HR committee and the standing orders are quite clear. 3.16 standing order says town councillors other than committee members, i.e. we have 3 in this room currently, may attend meetings of each committee, may participate fully in discussions, but may not vote. Now, what does it mean, may participate fully in discussions? To me, that means they may participate in the entirety of the meeting, whether it's confidential or not confidential. So that, and then 4.56, again, it says, 4.56, a member of the council who is not an assigned member of that committee or acting as an official substitute, as approved by the chair, is entitled to attend and discuss items on the agenda at any committee meeting, but only as a non-voting member. So that's the facts of the standing orders.
Correct.
That is the absolute facts.
Correct.
So we are in a muddle. And we need to amend those standing orders to say that this committee is a separate entity where confidential items should be only for the attention of the members of the committee. But at the moment, that's not what we have. So those are the facts.
Could I just say, Chair, that nothing has been denied of Councillor Marie. He's attending this meeting and he's had the papers for this meeting. So why are we in the muddle? Why are we in the
But
muddle?
if you remember,
Okay,
sorry,
then
if you
I'm
remember,
talking to the chair, I'm talking to the
I have,
chair.
I'm allowed to argue my case, Mr. Mayor. Or debate my case, in that case, if you don't like the word argue. My case is that last HR committee meeting was attended, me and Councillor Morehouse were rejected after the confidentiality part. But there's no, it was made clear that we weren't allowed in here and we were ejected from the meeting. And there are people in here.
I think what we should do change standing order under this particular committee. HR matters
If you want-
majority are confidential. So I suggest we can change standing order just for this committee because a special committee. Personal matters should never be disclosed.
Chair, so
So my
I think
suggestion-
we need to take a step back.
Mm.
Standing orders can be changed through full town council,
Yes.
and therefore a proposal around changing it could well be appropriate and could well be fully supported. But that needs to go through a process of redrafting and presenting. What we mustn't be doing in this meeting is determining the standing orders that have been signed off at town council level and determining how we're going to resolve them. What we're saying is there's a clear issue of clarification needed on this particular standing order. Back to Councillor Marie's point, I would say at the last meeting, things were not done correctly. I think we've learned a lesson from that. This meeting should be different.
Yeah.
Because I'm expected to stay all the way through. But what we can't do is argue about the past. It happened. So what we're going to try and do, I hope tonight, is do it the way that we all want to do it, which is about being transparent in terms of membership of the council, as you are a councillor, to be involved in the meeting, as I am hoping to be as well.
And the purely reason why I've made a song and dance about this is also because of what happened at the confidential part of the meeting. I won't explain it, you know what I'm talking about, when I was there last HR meeting, at the last committee meeting.
Sorry,
I'm a bit confused. Can I interrupt for a moment? You were, but my recollection is, you were at the first part of the confidential meeting because you presented the paper.
Yeah.
So you weren't ejected.
No, I was ejected when it went to vote for the confidential items.
Certainly, Jean, I don't recall that. I do.
I'm sure
Wait a minute, let me finish, please. Let me finish. I didn't interrupt you. Please give me the same courtesy. I do recall Councillor Morehouse leaving before the meeting. I remember you saying, I certainly may not have been paying enough attention. That's a different matter. I don't recall anybody being requested to leave.
No, that's correct.
May I then make a second point? I've attended a number of meetings, particularly things like planning, for example, where it's been a confidential item, and I have asked to attend, and I have asked for papers, and they've always been given to me. As a matter of thing, if it's not an issue that I am concerned about, I've left the meeting. And I think that that is the case, and the record is very clear on that. That seems to me to be a sensible way of working. For people to sit through an entire meeting when it's not put against, that's up to them, but I wouldn't do it. But I must say, whenever I've asked, I've got papers from the town clerk or whoever was clerking the meeting, and I think Councillor Franklin will accept. I've been at a couple of planning meetings, and then I left before the end of the meeting.
Exactly. Chair, sorry, just wanted to ask, Chair, could we establish then, because I saw Councillor Morehouse leave of his own accord, so who ejected Councillor Marie from the second part of the confidential bit? So we've got evidence that he was at the first part of the confidential bit, so who rejected him from the second part of the confidential bit?
When
Can
it
we
went,
establish
when
that?
it went to the vote for confidential items, because Councillor Tucker was standing in for Councillor Green, because Councillor Green wasn't here, so I remember that. Councillor Morehouse sitting there, and I was sitting where Councillor Morehouse is sitting now. I waited, and it went to confidential, and I was told that I wasn't allowed to stay in the.
By whom?
By the chair and the town clerk.
We need evidence for this, so.
It's on video.
Well, let's bring it up.
I'm sure it's on video. But there were other councillors here who I'm sure that couldn't.
But from my recollection, you did stay for the.
I stayed for the first 5 minutes of
Yeah,
the
you
confidential
did.
to hand what I needed to hand
That's
to
it.
you, and then I left because I was told I had to leave.
Okay, but Councillor Roberts.
I believe that I was advised that I would not be able to stay for the confidential items at the last meeting, and I left before the confidential items were discussed. One thing I did not do was go to my local MP and complain, or go to the monitoring officer,
Or the media.
or the media, because it's an internal matter which should be discussed amongst the council, not be taken to outside authorities of any description. That is totally unacceptable.
Councillor Roberts.
So I think as a committee, we have a choice. Either we say the standing orders are there, they say that any councillor can sit through the whole meeting, and if that's the case, then that's what we agree now. Or we say the standing orders are wrong, we need to amend them at council at some future date to say the items that this committee are of such a nature that only the members of the committee should look at them. But any big decisions made by this committee will be going to the council anyway. So what's the point of excluding councillors from this meeting?
We are not in a position to change. Sorry.
I'd go further than that. What is the point of having a Human Resources Committee? Really, if we're saying that everybody can attend all the committee meetings and have, their say on items, there is no point of committee structure. We get rid of the committee structure and you literally have everything go to council. Then everybody can see all the confidential papers, there's no falling out or arguments over it.
Councillor Pratt.
This committee has no power to change the standing orders. That has to, as Councillor Duke said, it has to go through committee. I'm going to keep my powder dry as to whether I think it's right to exclude people from any committee, and I'm not going to give you any views about that. What I have done, as I've explained earlier, where it's something relevant, I've always got the papers, I've attended to that bit, and then I have left the meeting, because I don't see that beyond that I contribute anything. That's a personal opinion, but that's striking as an ethical opinion.
So, going back to standing orders stand. We do not discuss and change them in this meeting. If any individual council wants to go away and determine a proposal to the full town council, and I would strongly suggest that should be part of the annual review, because what we really shouldn't be doing is chopping and changing standing orders when somebody has, or at least discussing changing them when a councillor has an issue or review with them. We have them, they're set. It was confused last time as a result, maybe the wrong decisions were taken. However, that is rectified this evening as far as I'm concerned, because I expect the three of us who are non-committee members will sit through the whole meeting. There's a separate discussion at a later point about revisiting, and I would have my view, and I know Councillor Black has just said he will keep his views to himself, and that's entirely right. I'll be a little bit more generous in my view. I think it is something that we should discuss and look at more sensibly around HR and the sensitivity of the nature. And more importantly for me, I trust 15 other councillors to do their role correctly in whatever meeting they're in. I do not want to be parachuting into every meeting just because I have a lack of trust or a sense of lack of trust, or else we'll all be turning up to every meeting, or alternatively, we'll be having one meeting every month to do all business. Not a good way to run a parish council.
Yeah, I'd just like to say, I think we are more open, and I think the standing orders don't need changing. There's some of us who was on the council before, and the committee meetings were always in the mayor's parlour, and it was only the committee members that were allowed to speak. If you wanted to say something, you could attend, but then you'd have to write a note out and ask the thing to raise your point. You wasn't allowed to speak at committee meetings previously, was it? So I think I've done it change.
Can I just, sorry, Chair, one more thing. Can I just say, I don't want the same what happened in November 2021. We all know, some of us are all there, we all know there was the mass walkout, the big kicking off regarding a HR decision that's made behind closed doors. I don't want anything like that to happen again with this council. This council has been open and transparent, but I feel that it's losing its ways and it needs to change before it gets too late and it gets bad as what it was before. That's my own. It's not me causing trouble. It's purely the facts. And I do feel that every councillor should be entitled to any information that they should be given regarding it's confidential or not in any meeting, so they can fulfil their role as an elected member of this parish council. That's my opinion.
I mean, if you recall, in November 21, the HR committee, which I think consisted of three people, made a decision that went to the full council, no discussion, you have to agree what this three-person committee has agreed.
Exactly,
So,
that's
It
correct.
wasn't 3 person, it was only 2, so it was.
well, only two was the actual meeting.
It's my
And,
first
you know, we are, I mean, I hear what Councillor Marie says, but we are a long, long way from that.
Yeah.
We cannot make such a decision at this meeting.
Yes.
And also, Chair, could I just ask that Councillor Marie, in future, if he has any issues, I'm speaking on as leader of the council now, that perhaps Councillor Marie could come to the leader of the council and the town clerk and request a personal meeting. So instead of spoiling the committee meeting like this could all have been dealt with in the town clerk's office, and it could have been dealt with quite
Mr. Mayor,
easily.
all my correspondence that I've sent over the last 5-6 days has had yourself and the town clerk included in those emails. And there are other councillors that have seen those emails in this room.
Can I propose that the meeting continues and that we abide by standing orders and that all those councillors present at this meeting stay throughout the entirety of the meeting?
I'm not going anywhere.
I think we should leave it up to individual councillors to decide if they want to stay for the entire meeting. I think that's an unnecessary addition.
Will be invited to stay if they wish to
They, that's a different matter. So if they are able to attend and they can leave as and when they see fit, that would be my proposal.
All right, we'll carry on now. Yeah, number 5. HR committee terms of reference and status log. Town clerk to share an update HR committee full status, full following meeting with councillor Green. Members are invited to receive and note the details.
Thank you, Chair.
Attachments to.
Yeah, so I did have a meeting with Councillor Broom. These are the terms of reference status. You can see that we've added an action against some of them, not all of them, most of them. So it's just really for noting, and obviously there are some actions here that have to be picked up at the next HR committee when it meets.
Could I just say, this is, for me, it's a very important document because we're actually trying to be transparent and say that these are the tasks that the HR committee has got to do. Where are we up to with each and every one of them? And some of them are really important. The first one, to establish the health and safety and welfare. The council has adopted a policy, but the action there is that a councillor to be nominated to undertake a review, and I think a review is needed to make sure that we as councillors have done our check, that all of the policies are in place, all of the training procedures are in place, that the training is being done, and that we do an inspection around to make sure that our employees are working in a safe environment. And I have to say, when I came in this evening, I noticed some papers stored under the wooden staircase down below. And for me, those are the types of things, I'm not being critical, but those are the types of things that happen. And the safety of our employees is our number one priority as a HR committee, safety and welfare.
Those papers are what Councillor Ripley, the leaflets Councillor Ripley delivers to the local businesses. She leaves them under their little trolley to come in and take them.
I understand. So, so there's that. The other thing is, that there are these oversight things I just wanted to kind of labour on. We have to review the staffing resources annually and have a staffing policy. Prior to the meeting, I was hearing talk about a town sergeant. We've had talk about a media officer. We've had talk about a markets assistant, but they're not on the budget. And one of
They should be.
the jobs of this HR committee is to agree the budget.
Yeah.
That's one of the prime jobs, to manage the human resources budget, including the training budget for members. And these are the types of things that we can't just glib over. We, as the HR committee, should take action on these. And to oversee the town clerk, or to oversee and support the town clerk in the approval of all staff recruitment, retentions. These are the things that we need to do. And I'm just concerned that we need to apply ourselves to doing the task that the council has delegated to us through this terms of reference, so that we are transparent and we are doing the right thing.
Chair, if I may,
Yeah.
I wasn't quite sure of the procedure because we had a town sergeant for nearly 2 years and the present mayor and mayoress, and I'm not sure about the deputy mayor, they've been struggling to attend certain functions. And I think we do need to reinstall, not a full-time town sergeant, part-time to do the ceremonial duties and to act as a driver. And so it will be a full-time position. And I was just inquiring about the correct way to put that back on the agenda, whether it goes through to the town council or, to the next, the January meeting.
This is when the main budget is going
Yeah.
to the town council, and at the December meeting, I prepared a report which listed all of the town staff,
Yeah.
and I set out discussion points. Is this list complete in terms of a marketing assistant, social media officer, and a museum assistant?
Yeah, well, I was just thinking, because I know they've really struggled this year, and I struggled when I was doing it, because of the absence of sickness, before I borrowed town sergeant from, and there isn't a thing there, and already an allowance, isn't there, for a driver. But I do think the mayor does need, not only the tradition, the ceremonial side of it, because I wasn't very happy. I know we had that lovely lady for the mayor's deputy supper, but she put the mason the wrong way around on the front there, didn't she? And then it's actually going to the church now. That's the sort of thing we need, and especially when you're representing us to the other 13 towns of the Cinque Ports. And there'd be 3 visits to Brighton, see, a couple of visits. It's a lot of driving, so you can't expect him to drive himself there with her drive. That's what they do need, a driver and to do the set, make sure everything is correct. Otherwise, we're looking silly. 14 ports and there's one with a sandwich. And luckily, they've done very well this year as doing the speakership.
Thank you.
Councillor Chuka.
So, because I'm not a member of this committee, I trust you to agree and through STC the terms of reference and then to manage it. But just a couple of observations. Human resources budget is managed by this committee, but it's actually set at STC level. So it has to be a bottom-up process in terms of identifying what the budget should be and then to get agreement through STC itself. So around resourcing, it's for yourselves to determine what the resource model should be, but it has to be, this is where the town clerk is essential to this, it has to be within the overall constraints that the parish council has got. Because I would tick off a number of additional roles, but I wouldn't promote them as roles that we should have because we can't afford them. And that's where I would always have to start from. So I would love to have a media officer for the council, but that's a nice to have and it's not essential in terms of the budget. And the only observation I was going to make on the terms of reference, do be very careful that what you don't do, we have to trust the town clerk in her delivering her role and her staff. What we must avoid, from a personal perspective, is layering additional responsibilities that are always drilling down inwards rather than doing what we're here to do, which is to serve the community. And you have to get the balance right. And I'll leave it for you to determine that balance. It's not for me to do that. But just be very careful that the breathing space of the town clerk should be allowed and should be trusted to have, should be continuous. That's my personal view on this, that we should not be overburdening or overlayering a lot of demands because it's happening in other committees as well. And we've only got a small group of people who serve us and deliver the council staff part of our model.
Yeah, I think that's very well. for the staff, which is
Any comments? Should we just note?
just.
Just note this.
Yeah, propose.
See the note.
Propose noting the report from councillor Green and thanking him for his time.
All your hard work. So,
Will we be adopting them? I mean, we're noting,
just noting them for now.
Yeah.
but what's the point of just noting them? We really need to decide if we're adopting. If not tonight, and I can understand that, we certainly need to have some clarity. There's one or two bits of detail here, which is a former HR professional, I'm not over happy with, but I appreciate we don't want to go into a tremendous debate today. But this needs to be discussed at greater length and decide exactly which ones we are adopting, because otherwise this becomes a meaningless exercise. This has to be embedded in the way we work. To note, sorry.
So these are the terms of reference for the Human Resources Committee that have already been adopted.
Yeah.
So we just, councillor Green and I just went through
I see.
each one and looked at the status and the action. But if you've got any
I do
feedback.
I do have, I'll raise them privately with yourself and councillor Green, yeah?
Any proposal to noting this?
Yes.
Yeah, I propose noting it.
Anybody?
Happy to second it.
Second? Okay. And shall we vote?
Yeah.
Everybody,
I think everybody's got.
everybody be unanimous.
Yeah.
Number 6, confidential matters. Under the Public Body Act 1960, the public may be excluded from the meeting for the following item of business on the ground that they involve the likely disclosure of exact information as defined in Part 1 of Schedule 12A of the Local Government Act 1972 by virtue of the paragraph specified against the item. Number 1, information relating to particular employee or a particular office holder under authority. Decision required. Can we vote? Going for
I
confidential.
propose going into confidential.
I have a comment before you do that. And whilst I won't be voting, I would ask that for agenda item 7, AC.1024, a little clarification is given. It's very clear to me that it is a confidential matter. The detail doesn't need, now that I've got papers in front of me, doesn't need to be disclosed in the public section, but what it is, it's relating to an external piece of correspondence that's been received by the council, and the nature of it, because it involves staff, should be discussed in confidence. So the key thing on the public section is to make it aware that it isn't just a series of numbers, it actually does have a merit, and that's my personal view, but I won't be voting.
Yeah, I think for future agendas, it needs to be expanded. AC 1024 means nothing. It needs to be at least a summary of what the item is about. And the other thing, I'll take advice from you, Chair, or the Town Clerk, is do we vote on these en bloc, or do we vote individually as to whether they're confidential items in the public interest that should be dealt with in public, in private?
My understanding, if we go to confidential matter, we voted to go in confidential, then there will be stop recording.
Yeah, but are we voting on each item individually or en bloc?
Afterwards,
En bloc,
Yeah.
okay. Always en bloc, isn't it?
Unless it's a challenge on
Yeah.
a specific content.
so shall we vote to go into confidential?
I've already proposed that.
Councillor Franklin's council that, so we're voting to go confidential, okay?
Councillor Wiles, I think the ambiguity over the item in question is because that is how it's recorded.
What's that?
That's how it's recorded. What else can you call it? There's no other registration from it. So I used to be I introduced all the Data Protection Act